Are you Fujiyama?
Yes, I am. Who are you?
I'm a cop.
His real name is Joe Marshall. They call him Samurai. He speaks fluent Japanese. He got his martial arts training from the masters in Japan. Was brought over here from the police force in San Diego to fight us.
Would you like to fuck me?
You're the one that talked me into bringing this moron from San Diego to fight the Japanese katana gang.
Bingo.
I want him dead. I want his head cut off and brought here.
Have you been circumcised?
Yeah, I have. Why?
Well, your doctor must have cut a big portion of it off.
I want his head on this piano so that every man in my organization understands once more that no katana gets captured alive or talks. Got that?
How did you know I'd come home with you?
Let's just say I can read eyes.
I feel like somebody stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. I've got to figure out a way to get it out of there.
Yeah, welcome, Red River Podcast. You're not watching the Super Bowl right now?
No. I was telling you before, when I went out of the store to go to 7-Eleven, I quickly Googled who was playing, so in case I got trapped into a normal conversation with people.
Yeah.
I had some idea what was happening.
I know.
I had no idea.
Because it's a lot easier to just be like, oh yeah, man, I want the Phillies to win or whatever, than just be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really watch it.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not inviting that kind of a conversation.
Yeah. At least that way people will be like, yeah, man, Phillies, not Phillies, whatever, Eagles, you know.
I probably like 10 years ago, I just, for some reason, I was like, yeah, I don't care about this anymore.
I never did, and today, Karen's watching it in the other room, so it's pretty interesting. I'm not really sure why, but she was just like, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I want to watch it now, so it's like I don't mind it, I don't care, it's just whatever.
Hey, whatever gets people by. I watched In Search of Darkness Part 3 today.
Oh,
so I spent my day.
You watched the whole thing?
Yeah.
Wow, you're an animal.
How I had it planned. I was like, I'm gonna watch it.
How cool were the the in between stuff? The D. Wallace stuff, the Screaming Mad George,
amazing.
The director portion.
Another home run. I mean, shit. I could watch that all day. They can make part 4 or 5, whatever. I'm there.
Well, they're doing the 90s. They're doing In Search of Darkness 90s version now.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So there's going to be some good direct to video things there. So today we're going to talk about Samurai Cop 1 and 2. This movie, I don't remember how I stumbled across Samurai Cop, but we are old enough to remember the direct to video thing. Sure. Where you had your action movies that made it to the screen. You watched it. It was Stallone. It was whoever the fuck else, Schwarzenegger, and then you had the lesser known guys. You had the China O'Briens, and everything else. It was kind of hey, we're just gonna release American Ninja 5 direct to video, and this movie, is unbelievable for a lot of reasons. But before we get into that, just do you remember the first time you watched Samurai Cop?
I don't remember seeing this back in the day whatsoever. It was probably in the internet age or something. Maybe I think it was the clip of him with the nurse talking into the stethoscope, something like that. I saw a clip and been like, what is this from? And I need to see, is there more of this? Because this is insane. Yeah. And then finding out about it.
And now with the internet, social media era, you could make a clip, you could make a GIF, you could make a meme of this stuff, and you're like, well, what is this movie? Is this real? And it's like, oh no, it's fucking real as fuck. And then from there you get to spread it, because as soon as I watch this movie, technically it's literally like if the Room had action, like the movie The Room.
Yeah.
It's pretty much on par, but The Room is insufferable, which is funny because Waisu is in the second one. But The Room, I remember watching and thinking this is unwatchable because it didn't have anything. There was no action. There was nothing. This at the very least has like, it was like this. What was your director's name? Amir Sherivan, right? So apparently
He's got an interesting body of work. His other films look like they're probably amazing also. I gotta say, in the same way.
Pretty much, because he made a movie before this called Killing American Style with Zadar. And then one called Hollywood Cop, which I think was in 87. So these are things that now I'm kind of interested in watching because, you know, when it comes to movies like this, they're excusable because they're so genuine. This guy came from such a genuine part of his heart and soul that he really thought he was making a great movie. You know, and I know we're going to talk later on as to like the difference between like someone, you know, who does this deliberately though, like Grindhouse, like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. They purposely made something like this with Death Proof and Planet Terror, where they're like, okay, we're going to purposely make something like this. It's like very silly and ridiculous. Those guys are two geniuses. But then you get like the Sharknadoes of the world where it's like, oh, we're going to be like cool and we're going to make this stupid fuck. And it's like, nah, it's like your shit is fucking trash. It's not genuine whatsoever. And Samurai Cop 1 is absolutely fucking outrageous.
Yeah, I have to let my cat out. Hold on a sec. Sorry. She's gonna get all up on the mic. She's loud.
Yeah. So yeah, man, let's jump into this. I figured the double feature is a cool concept here. So
yes.
1991, this movie comes out. Like I said, it's basically like The Room, but action with action in it.
What's fascinating about it is like every single choice made by every single person involved is ridiculous. Like the directing choices, the editing choices, the acting choices. Everybody's doing something different.
Unbelievable. The dialogue, that's one of my notes here. The dialogue and the editing specifically. I don't know what was up with the editing or where his mind was, where he was making like Washington have those reactions. Like supposedly he would just film, he would be like, hey, now smile or be happy, be surprised. And then, like the Joe Marshall's like partner, Washington, I don't remember his last name. Basically this is like Lethal Weapon.
Frank, right?
Yeah, it's like it's a Lethal Weapon. You have fucking like the two characters. You have the black dude, the white dude. They're partners and they're fighting fucking crime. I mean, it had to.
And they have a boss. They have a commissioner who's just had it with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like turn in your badge.
Yeah, completely.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
So the dialogue and the editing are just absolutely outrageous. So it's. I remember as a kid, like everything was about the drug deal. Everything was like if a 10-year-old wrote the script, that's what it was. It's like, okay, the very beginning, they're like, exchanging like suitcases and drugs and all this other stuff. And like the dialogue when the cops like talk to each other, like, hey man, how's it going? Oh, not bad. All right, we're gonna go break up some like bad guys or whatever. He's like, all right, call me if you need me. And it's like, what is going on right now? Right. So all this stuff is going on. And I guess so Joe Marshall is this white dude. who is brought over from San Diego because he apparently trained with like samurais or some shit. So he's basically trying to infiltrate this katana gang. Let me tell you, there's how many Japanese people are in this movie? I think like one, right?
This might be generous. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like there's one, and then there's like 3 Chinese people with the other gang that they're fighting.
There's actually not that much real karate in the movie at all, or
No. No.
and or samurai stuff even till like later on,
Yeah.
which is odd, based on the title.
Pretty much like you would imagine. And so he's brought over to like infiltrate this gang. And that's where it kicks off. And right away you notice in certain scenes that this guy's hair looks ridiculous in some scenes.
Yeah.
And
right in the beginning.
Yeah,
like the opening thing. It's like, yo, what this guy's got a lady's wig on and shit.
Yeah,
he looks like a housewife,
And so the director, basically, I from the way that dude Matt Hannon or whatever his real name is, basically said they wrapped the film. He didn't really think anything of it. Probably never thought it was going to be released. And then the director saw him or called him in and saw that he had cut his hair, and he freaked out. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We still need to, shoot some scenes." And he was like, "What the fuck?" They bring him to like a wig place, and then they throw a fucking wig on him, and then they start, I guess finishing up some of these scenes. And this movie is, like I said, at the end of the day, the comparison between this and the sequel are that this movie is so genuine in its awfulness. It's so entertaining.
What fascinates me, like with a film like this, like a Miami Connection, or when you get to a certain level of like that, like, and the director's got the dailies list. He's watching this, like how the delusion level. Is it like they know they got a piece of shit and they got to turn something into like a producer or someone that financed it, or it's like they think it's good? Like, how is that possible?
So you figure 1990 or 91, whenever they filmed, he's probably watching these movies. Let's say he watches Commando. Commando right. At its core is fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever, but they had a budget and they had these things. But at the end of the day, like, there's almost no real difference between the plot to Commando and the plot to this. It's just the execution of it. So he's probably thinking like, okay, well, it's not as good as Commando, but it's pretty much on par. It's like, it doesn't, it's like when you watch Schwarzenegger in Commando and he meets like Ray Don Chong, you're like, why did this girl who got kidnapped by this lunatic all of a sudden pull out like a rocket launcher and shoot cops with to get him out? You know what I mean? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But and I think that this Amir, who is what was he, Iranian, right?
I think so, yeah.
So you grow up on these things and you're thinking like, okay, well, I'm gonna make my own action movie like this. But anyway, like these scenes are just great, man. It goes on and on. Everything's about the drug deal. You see 2 people,
death merchants.
You see everything. You see Robert Zadar in it, who is just automatically, you're like, he is very distinct looking. And then you get that
he gets he gets a love scene, which is quite disturbing, and it made me feel uncomfortable.
Wow, she's sucking on like that jaw.
Supposedly she was so nervous that they got her a bottle of wine to drink before she shot that, I read.
Well, when it comes to like the sex scenes in this movie, they make no sense whatsoever. They're cut in, they make no sense whatsoever, right? So another funny part is, right, so in the very beginning, they're chasing this guy, and he basically like goes on fire, and you see the guy on actual fire, and it was their job in the movie the two cops to put him out, like genuinely put out the stunt cop. I mean, the stunt guy. And it's stuff like that that's so cool. So then they bring him to the hospital, and he's like the only, like, witness, or they got to talk to him. And just everyone in that hospital is absolutely outrageous. Like the cop who's wearing like jeans or something that's supposed to watch him. He's just such a bad actor. And then they walk in, and he's just like sitting there moaning. That's when they meet the nurse, and
Yeah.
you're almost like, you almost have to rewind it, because it's like, do you see what you like, or no, do you like
I
what
have
you
it. I have it written here. I
Oh,
have
go
the
ahead,
notes
please,
actually
please,
because I was
please.
so shocked. Do you like what you see? Do you want to touch what you see? Do you want to go out with me? Do you want to fuck me? Have you been circumcised? This is the level of the dialogue.
And then it takes him forever to like take her stethoscope and go, what does he say? Yeah. Or something, right?
And then we
It's
got Frank's cutaway scenes reaction, like, oh,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then
Well, everybody was throwing the pussy at the samurai cop. That lady cop,
the
she
late
was throwing it out like crazy.
everyone. Do you know that he was Stallone's bodyguard? Did you know that?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Nice.
Which is interesting, because they have like similar eyes and stuff. So
The lady
um
cop kept saying she was going to keep it warm for him.
yeah, like everyone, and maybe that's what it is. Like he's like, okay, you're the heartthrob. Everyone wants to bang you.
Yeah.
So it's because, seriously, like the sex scenes that happen for no reason were literally porn scenes with no penetration.
There was some great 80s boobs, I
Yeah,
gotta say.
absolutely.
Great
Yo,
80s boobs.
he did not like, when it came to like the nudity, he was just like, I'm only gonna show hot chicks. Um, what else? Horny, the angry captain, which we covered. I mean, quintessential to all these movies. Like he was just yelling for absolutely no reason. Brings us to one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when they were all at the restaurant, right? They're all
Mhm.
at the restaurant. Fucking, they're eating with the katana's lawyer. And then, the two cops show up there, and he gives this speech that is so fucking hilarious. Like Joe, the samurai cop, where he's like, hey man, he's like, he's talking to the lawyer. He's like, we support the normal, like, Japanese people that come here and do good and don't give poison to our kids. And he just does this thing where it's like the most patriotic fucking nonsense fucking speech, and all these guys are just sitting there. I mean, the leader of the katana gang with his mullet, absolutely fascinating dude. When he was given that angry speech at his house, like when all the guys were just hanging out there for no reason, and then
Yeah.
he's like, he's brought in to bring down my organization. Yo, it's so good. It's like, it's henchmen, it's henchman after henchman just standing around in a living room with a gun and a fucking and sunglasses, and it's just, it's like I said, the script is like a 12-year-old on steroids writing an action movie, because it makes no sense, but yet it makes all the sense in the world if you know these movies.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think the plot's an afterthought, but it's just the delusion. Is what fascinates me when it comes to these films. Like, how can you get to a point of production where you make like this such shit and you continue doing it? But like, I gotta chime in here, dude. One of my favorite lines was, "He's gonna burn your ass charcoal black." Right on.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah. If they just throw it in there. And then fucking like, like when they get outside of like the restaurant, right? Like, or someone, no, they were coming out of somewhere, and like, just the spraying that Robert Zadar does with that fucking Uzi. They chopped off, like, he chopped off this one dude's arm, which was fucking
Yeah.
great. It's just pure. There's something, like I said, there are bad movies that make you want to turn the channel. There's bad movies right now on Amazon Prime that are just unwatchable. But I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times now, and it's just there's something about like it's just charming in a way. Um, I can't really explain it. I think that's why
There was actually on the In Search of Darkness Part 3. I wish I remembered the guy's name. When they have all the talking heads on there, one of the guys said towards the very end about we have to stop evaluating movies on whether they're good movies or bad. Like, are they entertaining? Or are they not entertaining?
that's it.
That's
You're right.
basically it. And when you have a film like this, it's definitely entertaining for all
Yeah.
the wrong reasons. But are they the wrong reasons? Well, at the end of the day, I'd rather watch this than probably, something
Skinamarink.
that got I watched that Friday night, actually.
Did you really?
Yeah,
You watched the whole
yeah,
thing?
I did.
Oh wow. What'd you think?
It's, I mean, they got balls to make that shit. That's why I kept waiting to see. I'm like, I have a feeling this is going to go nowhere, but I really didn't have much going on Friday night. So I was like, I'm going to let this see where this goes. Couple of kind of creepy parts, I would say. But I mean, realistically, you're asking a lot of an audience to stick with that. That's a 20-minute short,
I
like
I put
that's
on
it.
I saw the trailer to Skinamarink and immediately
You were like, not today, Satan.
immediately I was like, yeah, nah, you're no way. I don't give a
Yeah.
like, to me, like, and we put it on, when it hit Shutter, because Karen's like,
Mhm.
I want to watch it, and I was like, no, you don't. I'm like, trust me, you don't. And she's like, I do, and I put it on, and she's like, what is
Yeah.
this? I'm like, this is the fucking movie. And I was watching it, and I've taken Thorazine once in my life, and that's what it felt like. Like Thorazine, is the only way I could describe it is watching Skinamarink, where it's just like I just took a Thorazine pill, and I felt like I was watching static the whole time. Like I was like my mind was just gone. Like I get why they give
Yeah,
it to.
I get what he was tapping into, and a lot of times I would have shut that off for whatever reason. I let it ride. Like I said, there's some creepy shit at the end of it, a bit, very subtle. But I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to tap into this primal fear you have as like a younger kid when you know you're unsure of your
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
surroundings and this and that, and like I get all that, but it's it's so pretentious to think that you're going to expect people to commit an hour and a half to that. It's just,
I'm like I said, it more power to anyone that gives a shit. So, but going
yeah.
back to Samurai Cop, man, I gotta say that
But
dude,
yes,
Akamura,
yeah,
the guy that's he was in Trouble in Little China. He's done a lot of cool stuff. Showdown in
sure.
Little Tokyo. He
Mhm.
kind of looks like the Asian Gigi Allen in this movie. Like he's just like unbelievable. Like when you see him and he's like laying there on the bed. Like first of all, everyone in this movie has sex or whatever, except for
Oh,
Washington.
yeah. Yep.
So he's there on this bed, and I guess the cops break in, like kill everyone, and he comes out. Now the fight scene between Akamura and Joe, the samurai cop, is funny because if you rewatch it and you didn't notice, the background changes constantly. So 1 minute he has a wig on and there's like shrubbery behind him. The other
Yeah.
minute it's like his own hair and it's like blue behind him. It's unbelievable with the editing that they put together because it's just like different fucking it's different everything and it's fucking fantastic. I love that they called in New York. That was great too, in the
Yes.
movie. So
Sure.
and yeah, I mean there's not much more to sell this movie. Robert Zadar is great. He will always be Maniac Cop to me, and I think he's I know that supposedly here's what the man, who was it? Red Letter Media, I think, did a video on YouTube. Very cool, in depth, and in one of the, I believe they said that like Zadar was kind of like a little annoyed with the production because it was just like he saw the director was kind of like aimlessly fucking up and he got frustrated, which I completely you would understand. And then the other dude who plays Samurai Cop said that halfway through or like very soon into production, he was like, this movie's never coming out. No one's ever watching it. So he was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to completely try to do a terrible job and maybe they'll fire. He's like, maybe they'll fire me. And he said they kept everything and they kept him. So goes to show you. Always give your best. And yeah, let's see, guys. Man, there's a lot of good stuff. Like at the end, you know, like the big showdown, the big fight with the, you know, the two samurais. I really love the villain. That fucking Asian dude with the mullet is so outrageously bad. He is. I think he might be the real unsung star of the movie because it's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember hearing back from the cop, the girl who got her stomach burned with the oil. I think they just kind of forgot about her.
The facial expressions during those fight scenes are amazing. The samurai cop's face during the fights is epic.
It's just everything about it is so ridiculous that if you're looking for something fun to watch, I would imagine if I was on drugs or drank, this would be the coolest thing. This is definitely a group movie.
Yeah,
you go watch this with people, like
sure.
like a horror hang. You put this on and like you will fucking laugh nonstop.
Like you don't have to pay attention. People can talk over it.
Yeah,
Certain lines that pop up. It's perfect for that.
yeah.
100%.
So years later, you know, the samurai cop said his daughter wanted him to do like a post on social media. So I believe in like 2014, she thought it'd be funny if he did like a Instagram post or Facebook, whatever, and said, you know, a samurai cop is still alive. So he did that, and I guess somewhere along the way, it kind of just like snowballed into the sequel, which I had no idea. I was wondering, like, why is there a sequel? But
I had no idea till when the other film, this kind of series we want to do with like double feature movies that pair. We want to do Ricky-O Story of Ricky, but you're right. Like it's not something that's streaming, which I'm shocked it's not on Tubi. That is a Tubi movie. But I was scrolling by on Tubi and I saw a Samurai Cop too. So I was like, how about that? Because I had no idea they made another one whatsoever.
For sure, because you know we talk about these two movies and then from there people like, you know, I've never seen it, so let me just jump on Tubi and watch 1 and 2. Now 2 was a chore. 2 was a chore to sit through.
Terrible.
I couldn't. Where 1 was just this beautiful mistake that happened in the universe. 2 was just like, hey, we have this thing to jump off of. We're gonna make a movie. They tried to make it like flashy and like cool with technology, but it was just unbelievable. It really was like a porno without the penetration.
Pretty much.
You know, like it was just like if you took away like all the sex scenes from a porn, that's the quality that you're left with. It did have Lexi Bell and Caden Cross, which are two very big porn stars.
Bai
Ling, like, wow, what a career trajectory she had. Like from The Crow to like a couple of cool things to like I remember people saying she was hard to work with and kind of like erratic. And that career, like her performance in this, how do you describe it?
It's manic. It's just insane, man. You know, it's even for her.
So
it's and we have Tommy Wiseau in it. I mean, the casting and Wiseau is just like enough of that guy, man. Like it's just it was fun when he thought, and it boils down to all these films. When Wiseau thought he was doing good work and he produced The Room, was the appeal. Like now that he wants to, you know, like really lay into that shit, that Wiseau character or whatever, it's just like, dude, no, you can't replicate this shit.
I know, but I didn't mind him in it because I don't know. It was just so dumb, but I feel like he was genuinely giving it his all. I don't know if he was playing a character. I feel like he was just, and first
Yeah.
of all, he had goggles. Didn't he have goggles on the whole time playing a Japanese guy? Like no one could see, like he wasn't I don't know. Everything about
It
this,
was a choice. It was a
yeah,
choice. Yeah.
everything about it. So the beginning kind of reminded me of like Halloween Kills, where it's like a flashback, but like not
Mhm.
really because everyone's still kind of like old and shit. You know,
Yeah.
like how they set it up. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, okay, so there it kind of picks up from like the ending of the first, and then I guess they're like, you know, Samurai Joe is hanging out with that girl, and they're planning like a vacation, and this kid just walks over and says, "Oh, officer," and I'm thinking like he's in like plain clothes. Like, what's he saying? Hey, officer, you
Yeah.
know? Then they shoot his girl, and then that's how the movie goes. And the one cool thing about it too was like kind of like the cameos that they snuck in there. A lot of people from
Mhm.
the first movie, like the guy with the one arm that the guy whose arm got chopped off is in it.
Yeah. And the steward on the plane is
Yeah,
that waiter from the
yeah,
the first movie after
yeah.
he has the big speech.
So he seems to be a collaborator with the old director because he's been in
The
some of these
waiter?
movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was in that
Okay.
making, whatever the older movies. Um, so yeah,
It's
man,
like De Niro and Scorsese, like they have a relationship.
pretty much, pretty much. Yeah, this movie, I don't even know.
Terrible. It's
It's
hard. It's really hard to get through. Like at times I couldn't even take it anymore. Like whereas, and this is exactly the definition of when when a film is so bad it's good, when it's sincere and they tried to churn out something like this, the first one, and they fell short, but they still put something into it. Even in the fail, it succeeds. But when you're very self-aware of what you're doing and trying to, like, they even, like, in this film, they have the frank cutaway shots, but they're so, like, they weren't happy accidents or anything like that. It's just it's tough.
very
It's
tough.
tough when they're in on the joke also.
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't.
they can't be in on the joke,
It
I
doesn't.
guess.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There
Yeah.
was a Maniac Cop reference in it, which I thought was really
Yes.
cool. Where he's like, "Hey man, I thought I just saw you like fighting a samurai like years ago in the woods or something like that." He's like, "Nah."
Mm.
He's like, "LA's full of a lot of maniac cops," and I was like, "That's cool. That's cool." Like, shout out to Robert Zadar. But yeah, like you said, it just you can't capture this lightning in a bottle because everyone's aware, everyone knows that it's a stupid movie, everyone knows that it's ridiculous, but they try to. I mean, that fight scene on the plane was like, what the like? I mean, it's just like it's almost like what is that whose line is it anyway decided to make a movie like it was just like you threw all these people in a room and you're like, okay, now make pretend like you're in a movie and this is kind of like the loose plot. Like Bai Ling was fucking terrible. Like she was
It's
probably
so bad.
so
I tell
bad.
you though, there was a fight on the rooftop of the buildings. There was two guys putting in work though. There was one moment with two guys that were actually like doing some good kung fu.
You know,
You know what I'm talking about?
you're exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. Where I was just like, "Who the fuck are these two guys?" And like, how did they make it into the movie? Like, almost like an hour and 10 minutes in. I'm like, where were they?
Yeah.
Like the whole fucking time. So recommendation, I would definitely say, I would watch Samurai Cop 1. Because it's very genuine in what it's doing. It's unbelievable. Like I'm just like picturing Robert Zadar ducked into like that cart in the hospital when like
Yeah.
she like he's going to kill like the witness and every just there's not a bad scene in the movie if you want to just be mentally blown away. And I defy you. I challenge you to sit through Samurai Cop 2, because if it wasn't for this podcast, I would have just been like, I'm out. I can't do it.
Yeah, I would have tapped out really early, and I gotta say, like after 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like this is one of those. I keep hitting pause on it to see like how far am I into this shit. Oh God.
I did like that ending with Waisu, though. I did like the ending with Waisu. There's something about him just doing that role. I was just like, whatever, man. This is good enough for me. So, yeah. So that's it. Samurai Cop. Two people's opinions.
One out of two ain't bad.
I know we chatted a lot about it. Hopefully, I didn't over chat, but definitely a fun movie that I'm glad I discovered. It's one of those things that you just dig up, like what's the Showtime just put one up. New York Ninja was a movie from the 80s that somebody found and recently
I saw that.
Did you watch the movie?
It's up on Showtime?
It's up on Showtime.
Oh yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous.
It's very ridiculous.
Yeah, completely, but it's like
Yeah.
I like that. And maybe they made it in like 84, 85. And like I said, when someone is definite, like when that's their intention is to make this movie, only their budget or their talent, they could only take them so far. You watch it and you're like, yeah, that's cool. I get it, man. No worries. Like I Death Wish 5 is not much better. They just had a slightly better budget and maybe like a better director,
Sure. I gotta tip my cap. It's not like it's like Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
That guy's out there just being insane all the time, but he thinks he's doing good work. That's why it's so appealing.
You're
It's the
right.
same theory.
He genuinely is out there not thinking that because he doesn't need to do it.
No.
Like I doubt he's making that much of a living on tour. But in his head, he's thinking like, yeah, I'm a musician. I'm killing it. I love doing these songs and I'm going to perform. Did you watch him? I know I posted him doing that set by the pool.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Insane.
That was a good one.
That was great.
Yeah. Like that, like just picturing me being in a pool somewhere and he's like singing and dancing at the edge of the pool. I mean, that is fucking killer.
It's crazy because he's been at it so long. Like this whole shtick. Like, can you imagine? Like, so into Michael Jackson still at his age, and like, just
right. Of all people,
impersonating, it's insane, man.
Yeah, like you're so into Michael Jackson, yet you have an issue with Charlie Sheen or whoever he said apparently like some allegedly molested him, right? It was like
I think he molested Corey Haim
or so. Okay,
on
maybe
Lucas.
Yeah. Maybe it was the fat guy from Friday the 13th 5. I don't know. It was one of those people that he mentioned. I'm thinking like like I don't know, like like if you don't like one like pedophile, like I don't know, why are you embracing another one?
There's so much to unpack with that guy.
Yeah,
but that kind of shit, that guy, movies like this that fascinate me to no end. Like I want to know everything about it. Like I'm fascinating.
Yeah,
like
there's some good. I don't know if you caught some of the like quick like 15-20 minute documentaries on Samurai Cop on YouTube.
I didn't. No.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Maybe I'll add like links to it for the episode where they really kind of break down like how these movies came about. Well, how the movie came about. Nothing on 2 yet. Like I didn't really see any videos explaining why, but I guess
there had to be some like GoFundMe thing or something.
Yeah.
Like when year did it come out?
So 1 came out in 91, and then 2 came out in like 2015, I think.
Wow.
Or maybe 2015, somewhere between 15 and 17.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago.
No. Absolutely. Like, and like I said, these clips now exist, where you could watch. I mean, even like on Instagram, like you'll see like a 10-second clip of a movie, and you're like, I don't even know what this is. What is it? I want to watch it. And I guess that's how these things get that second life, where it's like, oh shit, never even heard of this.
And
like,
some of those movies, the clip they pull might be like
the
the
best
best
part.
bit of it.
Yeah.
But like Samurai Cop 1 is the one of those true gems that is just entertaining start to finish. There's just insane shit. And every time you're scratching your head, they're gonna
Yeah.
throw another like insane choice that they made at you. And it works as a whole film. It's not just the clips, it's instant entertainment if you like this sort of thing.
And
Yeah.
sex, like the sex scenes are just put in, like the editing. The editing of the sex scenes are just like, it's like you got a plot point, and then all of a sudden there's like a 3-minute like completely almost hardcore sex scene, and then they go back to whatever they were doing, and then a few minutes later, like Maniac Cop is like fucking the redhead, and it's just like, I don't even know what's going on. Then you get like Gigi Allen, Asian guy, fucking someone. You're like, all right, I guess this is what we're gonna do. So cool, man. These are fun. I like to doing the double feature talking. Hopefully somebody gives a shit about this. And
yes,
if
we always do.
If not, you guys can go fuck yourselves.
All right, man.
All right.
Aloof when the truth move, the suicide move soothes. The who's who of you to shoot, the bullets go zoom zoom. Pain is the porn powder, painted by plain shit. It's faded, it's more foul, the famous is top 10. Hollywood off the bus park, tend a little destructor. In a waist with a gold face, feed a greedy with dum dum. You and me in a butane, super lame and he puff up. Little dragons of fat rap, suits to their face to fuck up. Walk in the zone and get less, wake in a fog of fight night. Eat with a sip to self.